Knowledge is power!
Hey guys, GGNG here with another Dota 2 video. In this one, I'm going to be talking about fountain mechanics and fountain regeneration. Something I don't see a lot of players do, even in my bracket, is use the fountain effectively. What I mean by this is that they'll spend way more time than they need to standing in the fountain healing, when they could be healing faster, resulting in them wasting time that they could be spending doing things on the map. So today I'm just going to go over the fountain mechanics, and I'll teach you guys some neat tricks to speed up your healing and make sure that you don't waste a lot of time sitting in the fountain. So let's just start with the fountain. This right here on the Radiant side, and there's one on the Dire side as well. The fountain healing area comes from here all the way to the top of the steps over here. It will heal any allied unit that comes within its area, and the rate of healing for the fountain is 4% HP per second and 4% mana per second plus an extra 14 mana per second. So what this means is that it will take a unit around 25 seconds to heal from 1 HP to full HP, and it'll take them an X amount of seconds to heal from 0 mana to full mana. The fountain also has a sticky effect, which means that if you enter the fountain area and you leave the area, the regeneration will stay with you for another 3 seconds. The fountain will also refill any bottles that you have in your inventory. So those are the 3 main mechanics of the fountain. Now there are quite a few things you can do to speed up your regeneration. One of the things you might have noticed me say is that the amount of time it takes for you to regenerate from 0 mana to full mana varies depending on how large your mana pool is. The lower your mana pool is, the faster you'll regenerate from 0 to full. And the reason for this is because the 14 mana per second is a flat rate. So if you have a lower mana pool, that 14 mana per second will always be a larger percentage than if you have a larger mana pool. So if you have 140 mana, that 14 mana per second is going to be 10% of your mana pool. So you'll regenerate 14% of your mana per second, as opposed to if you had like 1400 mana, it'll be 1% of your mana pool, so you'll regenerate 5% of your mana per second. I hope that made sense. So basically what you always want to do when you're trying to regenerate mana is drop any mana giving items that you might have. I'll demonstrate. Once I get these two to low mana. Okay, so they're both pretty low. We'll both enter at the same time. And this one only has 500 mana, this one has 900 mana. And we can see that the one with lower mana regenerates much faster. This is about 1, 2, 3, 4, about 4 seconds faster than the one with more mana. So that 4 seconds is the length of a TP channel plus another second. So you could be TPing to a lane and be doing something in the time that you would be saving by dropping any mana items. Now this does have some exceptions. So any items that give you flat mana, just like a energy booster, a soul booster, things like that. Even items that give flat intelligence and no other benefits, like Staff of Wizardry. Those items you want to always drop, because they only really give mana pool and no mana regeneration. Items like Bloodstone, Scythe of Vice, Orchid, those items you don't want to drop because they give far more mana regeneration compared to mana pool. So if you have a Bloodstone, it'll give you like 400 mana, but it'll also give you an extra like 10 mana per second, which is more than you would get from like percentage wise by dropping the bloodstone from the fountain, if that makes any sense. So items that give lots of mana regeneration you don't want to drop. Dropping mana items is also much more effective early game because your mana pool is comparatively lower due to usually low intelligence in the early game. It is still effective late game, but you won't notice the difference as much. Alright, so for HP regen, it's basically the same concept as mana regeneration. You want to drop any items that give you flat HP or flat strength. Now it may seem like it would be pointless because HP regen is only percentage based. There's no extra like 14 HP per second. But the reason why we drop any HP or strength items is because we want our innate HP regen or any HP regen we get from items to matter more. So we're not using the fountain's 14 per second this time, we're using our own HP regen. So I'll compare these two. It's a bit of a huge gap, but it should be the same. Okay, so this one has 400 HP, this one has 1700. It's still 4% per second, but as we see, our 400 HP one is going to regen a lot faster. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4. Still around like 4 seconds. There's never going to be this big of an HP difference in items, but you kind of get the concept. There are, again, exceptions to dropping these kind of items. You don't want to drop items like Heart, Vanguard, items that give you lots of HP regen, stuff like that. So another thing you can do to take advantage of fountain regeneration is you can use the sticky effect of the fountain. So as I mentioned before, once you leave the fountain, the regeneration stays with you for another 3 seconds. This means that you can leave the fountain when you have 88% HP and you'll still regenerate the remaining 12% despite you being outside of the fountain. So I'm going to leave right about now, and then I'll still be full HP even though I'm outside the fountain. Now the way I judge when to leave is that I look at the HP bar in relation to my abilities, and once it reaches about the end of my third ability, like right over here, I'll be able to leave the fountain. But now that they implemented all clicking the HP bar, you can just do that instead to tell your HP percentage, and you just leave when it's 88%. If you're going to TP out, you're going to want to leave when it's 76%, and you can just all click that as well, or if you want to do it by skills, it's based on the beginning of the third skill. So 76 is beginning, 88 is end, or you just all click the HP bar. Whatever suits you better. Alright, so the last thing I want to talk about is the fountain refilling bottles. So if you have a bottle in your inventory, the fountain will automatically refill the bottle once you walk inside. So like so. Bottles kind of complicate item dropping a little bit. If you have a bottle in your inventory, you're always going to want to drop any items that give you HP and mana, unless you have like a 20 charged bloodstone or something. That's because the bottle, if you spam it in fountain, it gives you like around 45 HP per second and 23 mana per second. So an insane amount of regeneration added to the fountain regeneration, and basically the lower you make your HP and mana pool, the better it's going to be. There aren't going to be many items that match the amount of regeneration bottle spam will give you. Another thing with bottle is that it allows you to leave the fountain much earlier. If you start spamming bottle in base and then you TP to somewhere and you spam bottle once you reach your destination, sometimes you can TP from like 40% HP and still be at full HP once you land, depending on how big your HP pool is. The bottle also gets refilled by the 3 seconds of stickiness from the fountain, so that's also pretty useful. Alright guys, I hope you found the tips and mechanics useful. Hopefully you won't waste as much time in the fountain anymore, and you'll be able to get more stuff done on the map. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys next time.